going to start to do whatever they're going to do again. So, but I'd like to welcome Julie from Laughlin. She has a new job. She is now here in Oklahoma County as a horticultural educator. She has a master's in horticulture. She started her career as an urban integrated pest management agent. She's been faculty and has won awards for her teaching ability. She won the Dean Stringer Award for teaching excellence at OSU, and she was an All-American Selections trial judge for vegetables. So today she's going to talk to us about vegetable varieties, and so I think she has a lot of good information for us to learn, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from her today. So let's welcome Julie.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? In the back? Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yes, thanks for coming. Thanks for staying, I guess. I'm really glad to see that there's still some people here. I hate Oklahoma weather. No, I don't hate Oklahoma weather, but I love Oklahoma weather. But we do have our challenges, so thank you for being here. I'm going to, real quickly, how many of you guys are producers? Great, okay. It doesn't show on my slide or anything, but I do run a small farm in Choctaw called Bella Verde Gardens. It's mainly asparagus, and I have blueberries as well. But then also, the 3 previous years to just taking this job right here, I had retired from teaching horticulture, and I spent 3 years running a small local farm, and primarily vegetables, but we also had an orchard, and I did that, and then I gone back to work for the institution. I told somebody I'm going to have to get Pistol Pete tattooed on my body somewhere because I can't seem to get away from OSU no matter what I do. So I'm excited to be back in this role. But I wanted to tell you that I also have producer experience. And so, you know, I could talk varieties with you all day long. It's one of my very favorite things to do is talk varieties, not just vegetables. I like to talk about flowers and as well. But as we go through these, what I did was I kind of picked out some that I really believe in, but that means that I'm also going to skip 10 varieties of the same thing that you probably really believe in. So as producers, if you want to shoot a name of a variety out at me, I know I could have gone on and on and on with this. I think I stopped at 35 varieties of things that I really liked, but it's not going to hurt my feelings if you say, you know, I don't know why you didn't mention it, or just, I may say, you know, does anybody have another variety you want to mention? Just throw it out there for the rest of us, and that way we can learn from each other. So, okay, next slide. How can you best know what grows in Oklahoma? One thing is to go to the market and see what people have, but you may not be able to look at those tomatoes unless you know the farmer and say, what variety is that? Those are gorgeous, you know. But another thing you can do is visit field days whenever you can. Field days really do help, in my opinion. One of my favorite things in the world to do is visit other people's gardens and other people's farms because you learn so much. Next slide. Oh, so many to choose from. I'm sorry. It's overwhelming. Yes?
I'm curious, do you do organic or do you spray some organic varieties?
No, the farm that I was running was in compliance with OMRI. We were not certified,
Okay.
but we have record keeping to certify any minute. The same thing at my farm at home. It's so small. I have a couple high tunnels and small cropping, so I keep records as if I was going to certify, but I'm not. And neither was Prairie Gardens, the farm I manage. At this time, they may certify, but they're not certified right now. Yes, I don't use chemicals. I also host a talk radio show. It's called The Garden Party, and it is pro-organic, so that's probably my strength. Integrated pest management is my background, and that's probably my strength is discussing organics, but we won't talk about that today. So how do you choose? There's so many things to choose, and it's overwhelming. The seed catalogs come out. I know you're just like me, just start drooling over those new varieties or whatever. So how do you make those choices? One thing you can do is you can listen to the research that's done at OSU. They do great field research. Dr. Lynn Brandenburger is in charge of that. Until recently, Dr. Brian Kahn was also involved. I don't know if you guys know them, but vegetable researchers. And they do great results, publish great results on that, especially harvest, fruit cracking, whatever. And that will help. This is a guide they publish every year that you can get in your county extension office, or you can order it online. Does anybody have this? It's really good for startup especially, isn't it? Don't you think?
Absolutely.
I think so too. Okay, next slide. And then you can get all of this online. They have the trial reports going back decades. I still look at these every year because Lynn has got the time, Dr. Brandenberger, I'm sorry, he's got the time to go out and try those new carrot varieties and tell me if they really do work or not. I don't have the time or the money to do that. So the fact that Dr. Brandenberger is doing that research for us is really good, and these results are phenomenal. They're very helpful. But you can go look at every year. Of course, they can only do so many tests every year, but they do a great job. So, okay, the All-American Selections, I do want to throw this in. The All-American Selections process is for gardeners. It is not set up for producers. But today's small farmer is, most of us are market gardeners. You know, we're doing big gardens. You may be doing 40 acres, I'm not, but the fact that garden varieties that are approved in the All-American Selections can very often have a lot of merit for small farmers. So I wanted to show you some of those today. I was an All-American Selection judge for over 20 years when I was in my teaching career, and it's a volunteer position, but every year I got to look at as many as 24 new varieties with 3 comparisons to each variety. It was a lot of varieties to look at. It was a volunteer position on top of my regular job, but that's how much I loved it. There is no longer an All-American Selections trial garden in Oklahoma, but everything that was judged before 2015, I was part of judging, just so you know. So when you see an All-American Selections that's been judged in the last 22 years, it did very well in Oklahoma City, or it wouldn't have won, because it has to win in all of the 35 gardens across the United States. And it won in my trial gardens, or it wouldn't have been there. So I do want to show you that. The branding of All-American Selections does give it a little bit of an eliteness, but there's so many new varieties coming out, they can't test them all. So it doesn't mean that everything else you see in the catalog isn't one of as well, but it does mean it's been tested across the United States. No longer tested in Oklahoma, because when I retired, I had to give up my test garden. So, okay, next slide. All right, here's some recommendations from OSU. You probably recognize a lot of these varieties. Most of us have grown them. First one, premium crop broccoli, fall crop, excellent crop, makes a huge head. Anybody grown it? Do you grow broccoli? Pac-Man, another variety. Want to throw another variety out that you like?
DeCiccio?
Yeah, DeCiccio, which just has those side shoots. It's a really good variety. Pac-Man's probably one of my favorites. It's also on their list, but premium crop is beautiful. Makes a gorgeous head in the fall. Okay, next one. Lacinato, anybody grow this kale? Yes. And you want to recommend another variety? Bill?
Well, no, I was going to say, I
Oh,
did grow
well,
that
so-
one, and there's some different versions of that now
Yeah.
that are coming out.
Colors. Yeah, beautiful though. Really good producer. Someone tried to tell me that kale was going away. It's not. I don't believe that. It's just, it's a superfood, and I mean, it's just here. I don't know who.
It's becoming more popular. I don't know who said that.
I know,
but
we
it's
sell
growing.
so much of it. We tried to
Well, the
grow less of
Lacinato
it.
tastes so much better than the
It's
Russian cake.
flavorful. It is. It's delicious. It really is. It's very popular.
It's edible, just pick it and eat it.
Fresh, without being cooked. Yeah. Okay. I like this spinach. There's a whole bunch of spinach. This whole bunch of spinach variety. You know this. We cannot. When I was at Prairie Earth Gardens, we could not grow enough spinach. Do you know what I'm saying? If you guys are direct marketing, it is difficult to grow as much spinach as. Do you sell it like we did? And we sold to restaurants too. But do you sell a lot of spinach?
I did 2 years ago. Last year, I couldn't give it away.
Is that right? Maybe there's just too many different kinds of greens now. I don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't grow it fast enough. And then
Right.
last year, I grew all this spinach. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh,
What am
really?
I gonna do?
Yeah,
I've got it in the freezer.
Well, and I should explain that Prairie Earth Gardens, the farm that I was managing, 70% of our sales were to restaurants.
Well,
Yeah, 30% was direct from the farm, and that was the general public, but 70% was to restaurants, so that might be part of it. Anyway, this one has a really good bolt tolerance. Highly recommended by Lynn's Trials. I highly recommend it as well if you want to try a new spinach variety. Okay. This is an old favorite, but it's on the list. We've been growing a lot of the chioga, zonal beets, because the chefs like them. Anybody else want to throw another beet variety out? Bull's blood. Bull's blood's good, and of course it's got that dark green foliage on bull's blood. I mean dark red. I'm sorry, that looks like bull's blood. Okay. Okay, tomatoes. Here we go. Florida 91. How many of you guys grow this one? Yeah, highly recommended by OSU trial results. and mainly because of crack resistance and also shipping and handling. Now, we'll get to heirlooms in a little bit, but one of the big things that OSU's research is going to be looking for is things that will hold for market, hold for shipping / hold for market. And that's one of the big things about the Florida series, the Florida 91 being the one that Lynn's research likes the best. Mountain Fresh, how about this one? Troy, are you in here? Troy's not here. Nobody grows Mountain Fresh? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's good.
It's a real good producer. Very prolific, nice sized tomato, holds real well. Anybody else want to throw out another tomato? Got a few more, but.
Juliet.
Yeah, Juliet's in here. I'm sorry.
I have a question
Yeah.
for you.
Jet setters.
Jet Setter, yeah, which is old variety, very good.
Do you have a favorite determinate variety?
Probably Celebrity. It's an old-fashioned one, but for determinants, you can't beat them. They're good sized. They're prolific. I have a whole section on old favorites, which will include those. Okay, Solar Fire. Anybody tried this one? Very heat tolerant. Okay, that's OSU's research at their research stations. That's their top tomato recommendations. All of them did well for us on the farm, high producing, super productive, well keeping, very good keeping quality. Flavor was not the flavor of an heirloom, but they were delicious. And I'll show you some more that I think are more flavorful that are not heirlooms in a minute. Gator Bell, this is a sweet potato that a sweet pepper we grew every year. I also like Aristocrat. Anybody else have one? Aristotle? Anybody want to throw a pepper variety out at me? I do want to tell you one thing about sweet peppers. I will never grow them in the field again. We only grow them in the tunnels. They do phenomenal in the tunnels because I think it's the summer shade in combination with the lack of wind. You know how the wind, I know wind goes through the tunnels, but Bill, what were you going to say?
Well, they're not bell peppers, but Carmen and Lipstick.
Yes.
Corno de Toro.
Yep. Carmen is a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it might be with the All American selections I'm going to show you. Anybody grow bell peppers? Okay. Do you have if you have tunnels, stick a few in there. If you do them in tunnels, I cannot believe it. I mean, the decision was to never grow sweet peppers. We'll grow hot peppers outside, but sweet peppers never outside the tunnel again because they perform unbelievable. We also do our shishitos in the tunnel. And I don't know if you grow shishitos. I'll show you a variety in just a second that's really good. But the shishito peppers in the tunnel, the comparisons to the ones outside, there's no comparison. The production is so much higher. So if you've got tunnels, just keep that in mind. Throw a couple peppers in there this year and see what you think. But it's amazing. Beauregard sweet potato. Anybody grow this one? Rod, do you grow this one?
Well, I tell you what they did. If other people have good luck, but it's powerful to them, but that's our worst potato that we grow.
Okay, and what's your favorite?
Well, the problem is the good ones all have patterns on them now.
No.
On the orange.
Yeah.
I'm working on the red, and if I get it right, it's an old one we're trying to bring back. And if I do, I'll probably maybe even let somebody have some seed on it, but it takes a couple of years.
Are you going to name it something?
Well, it's got a name, but let me see if I can get it back.
Okay.
But this is the deal with Beauregard. I think it's grown principally because it don't have a pattern. But that thing give us more heartache.
And how many acres of sweet potatoes do you guys grow?
14.
Yeah, it's a lot. And they're all organic, by the way. If you guys don't know Rod and Wayne, he's right here. It's, we quit growing sweet potatoes on the farm because we were buying and reselling, but our customers knew it. Because we couldn't afford to grow sweet potatoes the way he does, organic.
I can't afford to grow these.
Well, don't go there.
What was wrong with the Beauregard?
It's a poor doer. One of the things, if you're organic, you gotta have potato that really binds out fast to give you ground cover. And that Beauregard don't seem to cover good. It starts terrible in the spring. It don't make good plants here in Oklahoma. Now, eastern Oklahoma might be different.
Mine did great.
Because I'm talking about the western Oklahoma. You gotta remember, that's a difference.
I just mulched all mine with hay.
Well, you see, in the eastern, it may do really good because Louisiana, where it was developed, is humid like eastern Oklahoma, almost humid.
Yeah,
So it may be a wonderful potato for eastern.
And it may be that Lynn was, in his research, because this is straight out of his research, that he was testing against non-patented, just whatever's non-patented, but,
And I don't know which one to tell you. that's not
because all of
bad.
yours are so good, yeah,
Well, I don't know which ones to tell you.
yeah.
If I find one, I'll let you know.
Okay, or when you get that red one named, let us
Okay.
know. Okay, next variety. Okay, candy onion. This one used to be called Superstar. It was an All-American Selections winner. I judged it as a winner in the 90s. And it was called Superstar because it can be direct sown from seed, believe it or not. It's a indeterminate and you can sow it from seed yourself. You don't have to transplant. But then they started making transplants and now everybody's transplanting them. But I still love this onion. I can't help it. It's not a keeping onion, but it's delicious. And very, very popular, and really did well in Lynn's trials for several years. Okay, this is his top recommendation on watermelons. I was hoping that Troy, do you want to throw out your watermelon variety, favorite watermelon kiddo? That's his nickname, Watermelon Kiddo. Not favorite watermelon?
Not really.
Okay, well, I'm waiting for your answer when you think of it. Just yell it out. Not a favorite one? That's right. Yeah, Black Diamond. We've all almost, that's the one I grew up with, was Black Diamond. Jubilee, also highly ranked in Lynn stuff. Anybody else? Watermelons. Anybody watermelon growers for market? They're tough. Yeah.
I
You
used
do?
to, Julia, but we got so much trouble with the brown spots that come on the melon.
Yep.
You're an agent, maybe you can tell us, what do we do about that?
The anthracnose, organic, I'm not sure. Copper, sulfur?
But anthracnose, is that caused by deficiency in the soil?
No. Are you talking about brown spot at the end of the fruit? Which is like,
They'll just start getting on the watermelon after a while, that fruit won't hold.
yeah, something's causing the cell
I
wall.
think it's anthracnose like you named. Is that soil deficiency causing that, or what?
Anthracnose is a fungus. It's fungal. If that's what it is, it's a fungal organism. But usually with the soil deficiency, it's calcium, but you find it on that blossom end. The blossom end rot is what it's called. So, I don't know. I have to talk to Rod, I'm not sure. But I don't know a lot of watermelon growers. We were buying all of our watermelons on the farm from a guy that was growing. We bought summer crop from a guy that was growing them in a big patch near Spencer. But I couldn't find any other watermelon growers. So I don't know if none of you guys are growing watermelons, I'm not sure who's producing right now. But anyway, we'll talk more, I guess, because I knew you used to grow watermelons.
Yeah, we have, and we have, because see, if you send these to a store and they start getting in brown spots and they don't hold for you, you've got problems.
Yeah.
And that's been our problem here, lately.
Anthracnose can get on the fruit, and it does make a spot.
That's it, that's what we have. So
Probably
I had a
that's
guy
fine.
from Havana look at it, and that's what he did.
Okay. I like this Caravel cantaloupe, very, very popular. It's not my favorite. I'll show you my favorite in just a minute. Okay.
Discontinued Caravel.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that. Do you want to give us a cantaloupe variety?
English.
Athena?
Sugar
Yep.
cane is delicious.
Is it? I know Athena. I don't know Sugar Queen. Athena is good. Anybody growing cantaloupes besides Troy or you guys? Anybody else? We had deer on them real bad the last time we grew them. So again, we brought in cantaloupes and watermelons for the last couple of years at the farm. Okay. Super pick yellow squash, just very prolific. Straight neck. What's the other one? Multi-pick. Do you know that one? Also very highly recommended. Throw out another yellow squash you want to throw out? Okay. Cash flows zucchini, also very prolific. Straight neck green. Am I in the right spot?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, just a plain green zucchini, but very, very prolific. It's a hybrid, very high producing. Bodacious sweet corn. Anybody grow corn? Okay.
Can you get that in untreated seed?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It is what Lynn recommends for Oklahoma, so I don't know anybody growing. One person I know growing organic sweet corn, if he's still doing it, and it may not be organic anymore, is Luke Fisher. Does anybody know Luke Fisher at Fisher Farms over by Stroud? But he did have organic sweet corn, and I don't know if he was growing bodacious, but This is the variety Lynn would recommend. Just don't know if you can get it with untreated. Okay, here's a few AAS winners. I had to throw some in. Okay, I love this tomato. Well, I don't care what anybody says. Have you tried it? I grew up, when I was all through college, I worked in a garden center and lived on a farm, and we were growing the beefsteak varieties, which are my favorite. I still love a big, juicy red tomato. And this is probably, big beef was bred off of those beefsteak lines. It's still one of my very favorites. And I'm not trying to be defensive about it. It's just that some people say it heat delays, but almost all the big tomatoes heat delay. You know what I mean? It's going to be a miracle to find, I think, a large tomato that doesn't heat delay some in Oklahoma. But I really do like this one. It seems to have quite a bit of heat tolerance to me, and I like the fruit a lot. It's really, to me, it's really delicious. Okay, Jasper, do you know this one? A new cherry, I think 2013. It's one of the last ones I judged, 2013 or 2014. Very, very prolific. Good flavor, a good new cherry to try if you haven't tried it. Okay. Now this is Harvest Moon, bred off of Moon and Stars, which we all know, right? Do you guys know Moon and Stars watermelon? Yep, the heirloom variety. And this was bred at Johnny's Seed by Rob Johnson and his wife. And they bred it out of that line of the heirloom variety, but it's a really good hybrid selection from the Moon and Stars choice. And it was, when I was judging, it was very prolific in the garden. It did really well. Hijinks pumpkin, this is a mid-sized pumpkin. Anybody growing pumpkins? Are you? Good. Yeah, I wish more people would grow them. They're difficult because of what? Squash bugs and squash by borer too. Very, very hard.
We had tons of Dickinson, I'm not sure.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Dickinson last year?
Oh, Dickinson, big one? I don't know.
No, we got some small ones. It was nice and berry.
Good to hear. I just, they sell. Pumpkins sell. You know that. It's just they're difficult to grow. They are doing research at OSU, just so you know, right now on squash bugs. They were doing research on squash bugs when I was there and doing my research in the early 80s. They were researching squash bugs. My friend in grad school, that was his PhD project. And then they're still working on it. It's a tough one, especially if you're trying to practice sustainable methods, organic methods. A lot of what's going on with the squash bugs right now is row covers, just so you know, that's where they're at. They're not, when I was in graduate school, my friend Dr. Jim Criswell, his research on the squash bugs, he was using the worst chemicals you can imagine. Just really scary stuff. On pumpkins, you know, not pie pumpkins, but ornamental pumpkins. And getting almost no control. No, you know, now if you're conventional, and I'm not putting that down at all. I know conventional is part of us. We're all farmers. But if you're using conventional, they're you know, having success. But if you're not using chemicals, it's very difficult. So the latest research is on row covers for squash and pumpkins, and just so you know. And that research, they just got a big grant funding for this next 3 years they'll be doing that. So, okay, this is honeyberry, 2009. I love this squash. The flavor of it is a little bit higher bricks than some of the other acorn type squashes. Honeyberry it gets that name because of the honey type flavor of the meat. It's delicious and it's very prolific. It might be one for you to try. Oh, anybody want to throw a winter squash out? Variety besides acorn.
Kusha for summer and winter is the only thing we found for squash bugs.
Yep, it's a good one. And I've seen squash bugs on there, but it seems to just keep going even with the squash bugs. Okay, this is fairy tale eggplant. Has anybody grown it? Or you might have grown Hansel or Gretel, which was the parent, a part of the hybrid line that this came out of. Hansel, Gretel, fairy tale. The breeder had like fairy tales. But I love this eggplant. I have to tell you that we have a farm stand, and everything I sell from Bella Verde is sold to people that are my friends and family. So I'm not at a farmer's market. I helped start the OSU OKC Farmers Market many years ago, but I'm not at a farmer's market. So I don't know if you can sell eggplant. Can you? You can?
Not large quantity.
No, we sold it prolifically to the restaurants, and then we sold it at the farm stand as well. But I love eggplant, and I don't know why. People don't know what to do with it, I guess. But if you wanted to try one, this is a great one because it's the perfect size for grilling. You could fry it if you wanted to. You could fry it by slicing it the long way, or you could fry it in little rings too, but absolutely a really good choice and very prolific and makes a great product. This is my favorite melon in the world. I don't know how to explain how it tastes. Troy, did you ever grow this one? Did you grow Amy?
No.
It's the sweetest it's got the sweet flavor I can't even explain with a texture that I've never had in any other melon. If you're going to try something, you might try Amy if you're going to try some melons this year. Absolutely. It's a canary melon, which means it's got that yellow outside and the white flesh.
Is that the same as the vine peach?
As what?
Is that the same as the vine peach?
Probably canary with yellow flesh. Yeah. It's just a variety of it. Okay, here's Juliet. I told the breeder he should have named it Julia, but he named it Juliet. And it's one of my favorite tomatoes. We grow these in the greenhouse and on the farm. We grew them in the greenhouse and in the field. Now, I think one reason why Juliet sells so well is it's different than a regular cherry, and they're so highly producing that we will always have them almost all season, no matter what. They never slow down during the hottest part of the summer when the large tomatoes were heat delaying. But we grew them in the greenhouse so we could add them to the tomato selection that we had, and they've done wonderful in the greenhouse. I should tell you that in the greenhouse we did not do hydroponics or aquaponics. We were growing into grow bags. They still are at the farm. They grow into grow bags with a soil-based media. But Juliet did wonderful in there. Okay, this is another one of my favorites. This is Cajun Delight. This was a variety that was bred specifically to stay tender if it got, you know how the okra gets tough, especially in a garden, people will let it get bigger. Of course, we sell ours at 4 inches at the farmer's market. You guys sell them any bigger than that? 3 to 4 inches?
Bigger than that, even if it's like the red ones stay tender, but you
Yeah.
see it being big.
Yep. So these keep their tenderness. It's amazing, even if they get a little bit long, and they're also extremely prolific, very, very heavy producer. When it's okra season, that might be the last thing you want to hear. I know you know what I mean. The whole crew in the field hand picking, there's no other way to get okra. That's just the way. Okay, Betty White. I love her. Do you love her? Old dependable favorite. Do you love her? I'm not the only one. We all love her. Okay, a couple of old dependable favorites. I love Whopper tomato. Anybody else?
I love tomato spinach.
I do too. This is, remember I told you that I'm a big tomato girl. I'm Italian, big slicing tomatoes. Family's very into cooking, always has been. Huge Italian family. So the big slicing tomatoes, just a little bit of olive oil roasted in the oven. I'm starting to get hungry for one right now. But the point I was going to make is that Parks Whopper is an old variety. Was bred by the Parks family in, are they from Georgia? Georgia? Parks. I'm sorry, I can't remember them. I've been to their farm. It's in Georgia. Anyway, it was one of their big tomato selections. It's still one of my very favorite. So you might want to try Parks Whopper. It does really, really good. It's a large tomato with really good flavor and very prolific. And it tends to have good heat tolerance as well. Celebrity. It's still old favorite, Betty White. Anybody grow celebrity? Yeah, it's because there's a reason why it's a classic, and it is a classic. Okay. All right, this one is also one of my favorites. No one will ever convince me not to plant early girls. There's just no way. When I was running the farm, when I was running Prairie Gardens, we had people waiting for the early girls because we did a fall crop and a spring crop, and then we did a greenhouse crop. And they wouldn't buy any variety except for the early girls. The flavor is phenomenal when they're vine ripened. They're just delicious. It's a smaller fruit, I'm sure you're aware of that, like a 4 ounce or maybe a 5 ounce tomato. It's not huge, but the delicious vine ripe flavor, to me, it's still one of my favorites. And again, I'm acting defensive, but people would say, you know, there's all these new hybrids. Well, there's a reason why this one's been around so long. Okay, I still like Sweet 100. They bred a whole bunch of other things off of it, Sweet Million, whatever. Sweet 100 is still one of my favorites. I can't help it. It's me. It's got a good flavor. It's very dependable. It's an old garden variety, but it's good. Sun Gold Cherry, still one of my favorites. It hasn't been out that long. What, 15 years probably? Bred at Johnny's, by Johnny's. Do you want to throw out any other cherries? Sweet Chelsea, have you tried that one? Any other cherries? Don't be afraid, they're all good. If you like them, they're good.
Washington cherries.
Washington cherry, black cherry. Black cherry, have you had black cherry? Black cherry is, the flavor, it is black. You know that dark red color that we think of as a black tomato, really kind of a purplish color. And it's a cherry with the characteristics of an heirloom. Also bred by Johnny Seed. I'm almost sure it was bred there. They have a huge breeding program at Johnny Seeds, but you might look at black cherry in the catalog if you're still looking at seedlings. Okay, this is the shishito I was talking about. I don't know about you, but we sold so many shishitos in the last 3 years. Do you know them? Do you grow them? Please try a shishito plant this spring if you are still looking for transplants or whatever, and add that to your repertoire. The chefs cook them with a little bit of olive oil whole, a little bit of olive oil and garlic, and they serve them over, like I had it, one of my chefs did it over couscous, and it was delicious. I'm sorry?
Are they hot or sweet?
Okay, 1 in every 10, this is what they say, 1 in every 10 has a bite, but they're sweet. Don't ask me, and I understand plant breeding. I don't, that's what they say, 1 in every 10. And that doesn't even have to do with where they're planted, it's in their genetics. So, but shishitos are extremely popular. This variety is very prolific, so we were selling them for $9 a pound. I don't know if you can get that in your town, chefs, but we were selling them starting the season at $9 a pound because we had them in the high tunnel. We went down as they started coming in. But we also grew them in high tunnels, and they did very, very well. So of the shishitos, Mellow Star is my favorite, if you want to try that. Okay, red Lesotho, still my favorite potato. Anybody else want to throw out anything there? I know everyone likes Yukon Gold. Another potato variety that you like that you want to share? Troy? No? No? Okay. I'm sorry? Okay. 1015 Y onion. Who's growing these? Everybody? Nobody? Do you have another onion? No. Okay, let me recommend the 1015 Ys. They, supposedly, Rod and I have had this discussion, they're not keeper onions, right, Rod?
They're not what?
Keepers.
No, they won't.
It's not storage, but they keep a long time. I do have to say, we've had this discussion that candy is not a storage onion or a keeper onion. 1015Y is not marketed as a storage or keeper onion, but they do keep for a long time. These are some drying in the field. It would not be unusual under the right circumstances of moisture and fertilizer to have 1015Ys this size every season. Remember with onions, you've got to have some nitrogen, so you keep laying those layers of that down, leaf layers, right? And then you've got to have moisture. And you've got to keep the weeds out as best you can. But 1015Y, you should have this size of onions. Annie Oakley, okra, another old favorite. Anybody growing this one? And then probably if you're growing okra, you're growing Clemson spineless. Yep, another old-fashioned favorite. Okay. Laughlin Butternut Squash. Can't hardly beat it if you're growing butternut squash. It's the best variety probably for production. Jewel sweet potato. Rod?
That may be the one that will replace Boardwalk, because they don't have a patent.
It doesn't have a patent. I love this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
It's
it-
been around forever, but
How does it do here?
it does well. It did well in the trials, yeah. And I like the flavor of it. Okay, I could talk about heirlooms all day. I only have a few minutes left, but the reason that I was a horticulture professor, the reason I even got into market gardening, because I was gardening in every spare minute of my free time. It's my hobby as well as my career. And it's my passion, actually. And I grew up with it. I'm a 7th generation vegetable farmer, believe it or not. It's hard to explain. My family's, it's hard to explain the story, but the point is I grew up around this. I've been, since I was a little girl, it's been my deal. I love it. I love the heirlooms. I could eat them all day long. They're more nutritious, they're more flavorful, but the reason that I got into production is because, you know, Kamala Gamble that fixed your lunch today, did you guys get to meet her? Did she come out and say hi? Well, Cam Gamble's one of my best friends. She used to be my student. She's one of my best friends. And she did not want to grow heirlooms, and she knew I had all that land on my place, and she said, please grow heirlooms for me. So I did it for 4 years. And it just wore me out because I would put in, I was used to being a hybrid judge in my trials, and I put out 400 Cherokee purples, and the production and the space and the work that I put into it was so low that it was so much work for me being a full-time employee and a mom and going out picking tomatoes in the morning. You know what I mean? I love them, and I know that you can sell them. I know people love them. I think all the varieties that I've ever tried of an heirloom have been, there's a reason why they're an heirloom. There's a reason why they've been popular for so long. I just understand what you deal with handling them and the shelf life. I get it. The cracking, the shelf life being almost 2 to 3 days, depending on the variety, where an heirloom will hold for 7 or 8, 6, 7, 8. You know, that's a lot when you're going to market. I get it. But they're not going away, and they are delicious. What we ended up doing on the farm was only growing them for chefs. Because the people that came to the farm stand would fight over them. You know, they'd be angry because they were all gone. So we just subcontracted with chefs.
That's it.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm going to end with heirlooms. I have a 2 minutes, 1 minute. Am I done?
We're done.
Oh.
So,
Well, thank you guys for coming.